Okay, so hi everyone, we are live. I'm just going to say hello in the chat box. I thought I would be online on time today. Let's try that again. Let's try late. Okay, so I am going to do a run through the markets today. So what I'm going to do differently from yesterday. So yesterday I did the way I normally approach it, but what I'm going to do today slightly differently is, first of all, I'm going to take a pure technical approach. So I'm going to run through the charts. I'm not going to even really pay attention to what the instruments are. I'm going to look purely at the 6 charts, and I'm looking predominantly for directions. I'm just looking to find ideally 4 or 5 charts, starting with top left, going across to top right to bottom left. In other words, somewhere from the 15 minutes, ideally at least up to the 2 hours. 4 hours is a bonus, going in a very consistent, orderly direction to the downside or the upside, and then it's going to go on my watch list. So it's now 10 past, 12 past 11. The US comes online in a couple of hours, and the only reason I keep bringing up the fact that the US is coming online is that we can have swings in the markets when the US comes online. Not always, but I would say more likely these days. It's more normal these days than it is usually. And it happens a lot in the indices, because overnight the markets kind of take a bit of a breather, and then when the US comes online, the market climbs again. And so I'm always mentioning it because for anyone who's new, I want to draw your attention to it. So I'm going to start off here with the US dollar index. It's a daily, so I don't have multiple time frames. Euro dollar is a mess. So looking at that 15-minute time frame, it's just too choppy. There again on the 1 hour, though it's at a level of support, it also looks really choppy. And so there it looks like it wants to break down and head lower, but then at the same time on the 4 hour, the market has produced a lower high, but it's actually trending up. It's just a mess. Like, there's too much contradictory behavior there. Okay, cable. So cable has had a bit of a correction. So this tells me, okay, so I'll go look and see if anything has happened. So one of the sites that I like to use that gives me feedback on anything that's happened in the market is Forex Live. Okay, so Forex Live is a great website. They'll tell you if somebody said something or if somebody did something. Well, that's interesting. Okay, that's new. Sorry, and I might even have a look at that. But anyway, so SNB, Swiss National Bank's Jordan. Supply of money can be reduced at any time if demand for Swiss franc weakens. So just remember that I've spoken in the past about the Swiss National Bank intervening. They've done it in the past. We're heading into that territory now. So we shouldn't be... Okay, they say that it doesn't really pose a threat to the stability of the franc's value, which is cool. But the exchange rate is definitely heading into the same area that it didn't like in the past. Anyway, so this will give you relatively quick feedback on what's caused something in the market. If that isn't the case, then, then fine. But otherwise, it might be too soon. Sometimes you have to wait about 10 minutes to find out what's happening. So on the news today, cable 8:25 a.m., we had Governor Bailey speaking. Okay, so there we can see there was a bit of a reaction to that. If we look, because if you look at this, there's been a sharp reaction. Certainly this morning at any rate. And so that is kind of same thing again. We've got a little bit of a potential head and shoulders occurring here. Overall, not happy with this. So while I'm here, because of that big move, I'm going to go look at all the GBP pairs. So because what I'm trying to do is determine if this is good on any of those. Okay, but you can see without a doubt that's GBP having a move. Euro GBP had a similar spike to the upside. So that's fine. But if you look on the daily, all it's really done so far is produce a rejection candle yesterday and a rejection candle today. And it's going sideways on the 4 hours. So immediately telling me market doesn't know what it wants. Therefore, any trades or any positions I take are going to be... Hi, Andy. Hi, Rishad. Yeah, they're going to be messy. Okay, so let me just go through the GBP pairs from that perspective. Heading lower. So for some reason, we've got GBP weakness. We've got pound Swissy. So if that is the case, then what I would do is look for GBP pairs against another currency pair that is particularly strong. So in other words, I'm looking for if GBP is weak, I want to trade it against something else that's particularly strong. That way I've got safer trading opportunities, if that's the case. So for example, pound CAD is more bearish overall than any of the other GBP pairs we've looked at. It's almost a downtrend on the daily, as messy as it is. It's got a level of support resistance over here that we need to break through. That's the garbage collectors. But that could end up being something. Pound Aussie, very bearish by comparison, so that could be something. So we could find Pound Aussie, Pound Kiwi, and Pound CAD could end up being tradable, possibly. Okay, because you can see a clear move across the board. It's GBP driven. Interesting here that it's coming off resistance levels as well as a pivot, as well as a weekly high. Sorry, not a pivot, a weekly high. Oh, and a pivot, and a daily pivot as well for Pound Kiwi. So there could be some shorting opportunities to the downside, high driven momentum. I'm just noting though that, you know, we've got this uptrend on the 2 hours, we've got a definite uptrend on the 4 hours, we've got an uptrend on the daily if you take into account this low, this high, low, and this high. So this is where these kinds of trades are dangerous, because we've got that contradiction. I'd be looking to go short here, but I can see that literally from the 2 hours upwards, the daily is forming a nice rejection candle, but I know that I'm going against the main thing. So if I like the look of it, I'll take the trade, but I will either reduce my risk or I will be prepared to get out. So what I mean by that is I'll take profit at 1-to-1, get to break even. If I can get 2-to-1 or 3-to-1, I'm happy. But if at any point after that the market just suddenly changes direction, I know why, because again we've got this massive contradiction. But it does appear as though GBP is now weakening quite a bit. Okay, so GBP might be worthwhile looking at across the board. Okay, right, so let's go back to where we were. So we were looking at Aussie dollar, Aussie US dollar. Again, sorry, I was going to say overextended. I was looking at it here on the 1 hour. Just not happy with nothing there that looks really good. Kiwi dollar looks like it's really trying to push higher. So we've got a bullish candle forming on the daily, which could end up being a higher low. It could. We've got quite a strong uptrend on multiple time frames here. So this is a maybe. So far, I haven't seen anything that I really like. I'm just, if we could categorize trades as safe, meaning very high probability, medium or medium risk, so low risk being a high probability, medium risk meaning I think it's I think either if you don't need to take it, don't take it, but if you are going to take it, I think that you lower your risk, but I think it's still a possibility. And then high risk meaning I would either avoid it or I would be incredibly conscious of the fact that it might change direction. And so far a lot of what I'm seeing is medium or high, basically. Dollar yen. Dollar yen, look at that 15-minute chart. That's insane. That just looks terrible. Then you look at the 30 minutes sideways, 1 hour sideways. That's a hard pass. It's an uptrend on the daily, and yet here on the 4 hours it's just consolidating. So what's potentially going to happen here is it's going to continue to climb, but I would just wait until that starts happening. So I'd leave it. Dollar Swissy is trying also to climb a little bit higher. You can see here that 4 hour about to go into an uptrend. Okay, so that could happen. We've got a low and a high. We've actually got a lower high. So a high, a low, a higher high, and potentially a higher low. And so dollar Swissy could start to move higher, which means euro dollar might head low. But dollar Swissy could start to head higher, and therefore there could be some trades there. So dollar Swissy sits on my medium list of potential opportunities. That could be good. That could be nice. And actually one way in which it could be done is to trade an entry above the high of this previous candle over here. A break above the high of that, so 1 or 2 points above the high of that, with the stop loss below the low on the 4 hour. And then look to take profit as you go. That's one way to go. That would actually be the same as trading a daily bullish candle. But it's not the best setup I've seen, but it is possible. Dollar CAD. You see now dollar CAD looks great. So far this is the best one I've seen. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, all trending down, looking really good. Any pullbacks, I actually must have added in this level yesterday. That level of resistance I said could be support. Price has now broken back below that. So maybe what could happen is there could be some pullbacks into this level on the lower time frames. He'll pull back into that level on a rejection and then to go. And before I forget, Michael, hello. And before I forget, so if you saw yesterday's episode, I'm going to jump ahead here quickly. But I spoke about where was it? There we go. This is so cool. I mean, I spoke about this yesterday. This is bizarre. It's bizarre because it's funny for the following reasons. Yesterday, I drew on the chart when price was here. I drew, oh, okay, price could go up here, come down, and head up. And that's literally what it did. It actually followed the lines and came back, and there was a bullish candle, which I took. So that was my trade I took yesterday. That was a 2.5 to 1 or something. But what's funny about it was that the way in which it followed that plan, I mean, I wouldn't have expected that. There's about a 30% chance that it would actually do exactly what I drew. But it did. So I don't know if anyone was watching for that. If you didn't, not a problem. Because yesterday I wasn't really expecting much. But that is what happened. So there we go. It was quite cool. Okay, I'm going to go back to this now. So we are... Dollar CAD could be a possible shorting opportunity, potentially. But I think I would prefer to see a pullback on the 2 hours or 4 hours or 1 hour. A pullback to that level and then a potential shorting opportunity there first. So far, dollar CAD the best one there. Okay, of what we've gone through. Euro GBP giving those mixed daily candles a problem. It basically doesn't know which side's in control. Let's have a look at Euro Yen is still uptrending but doesn't look great. Euro Swissie is starting to look bullish. It's very messy. Look at that, just that noise. I think it's going to head higher. I just think it's very high risk. Euro CAD. Okay, so we've got dollar CAD looking good and Euro CAD looking good. But if you look here on that 30 minutes, it's starting to set up as a swing low, which means it probably wants to pull back up. So Euro CAD for me would be a pullback up into the moving averages, maybe towards 1.56 or 558, somewhere around there. Into that daily, that's a daily pivot, back up into that bearish candle there, could potentially be good for shorting. Also, I'd keep an eye on that because that could actually go up a little bit higher. It might even find its way back up towards 55.85. But that's cool. It's largely range bound on the daily, but it does look bearish. It's got a lower high. Break below this level, could see it continue lower. So might be something there. Euro Aussie, excuse me, is doing a retracement back up into this level. That could be amazing. That could be a great trade into that level of support. So that could be a cluster trade. For those of you who know that could be a cluster. There's a pivot there. There's no round number. Not really. But there's a level of support and resistance and probably a fib level. So there might be a potential cluster trade set up there. Maybe. What do we got? We've got a 50 fib and we've got a cluster. We have a 50 fib close to a daily pivot, close to a support resistance level. So that could be a cluster trade short. Does that make sense to everyone? You put a sell limit just below that level, maybe closer to the daily pivot possibly with a stop loss above the high, and then short it. Look to do that. But that's cool. That's a definite possibility there. Euro Kiwi. Euro Kiwi is trending upwards, but doing a retracement, so there could be some potential longs, and I think I can get rid of these lines now. This is not set up. That was a... What was that? What was that? It was a potential setup to go short, but it didn't trigger. So I think that can go. Oh, damn it. There we go. Okay. Pound yen. Again, we've done all the GBP pairs. Let's go to Aussie Kiwi. Aussie Kiwi looks more bearish, but it's sitting at a weekly support resistance level. So I would probably look for a potential trade long on that level of support if price comes back down here. So that I prefer the look over here. Price coming down here, a bullish candle, and then go long. Aussie Kiwi. Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD's moving, but it's sideways. Look at that sideways ranging motion. Double bottom here. That's a stay away. So that's a no trade. Aussie Swissie. Just mad mess. Aussie Yen. Nope. That's a mad mess. That daily time frame there is just 5 or 6 days in a range. Madness. Kiwi CAD is a downtrend, at least on the daily, at least. It's not a super strong trend, but it's not a bad one either. There's a potential swing trade or turning kind of a trend flow type trade setup occurring here on the 2 hour. So that could be something as well to the downside, potentially. Kiwi Ftse, more bullish than bearish. Look at that. It's just ridiculous. No clear direction. It's got lower highs, it's lower lows, it's a daily, but it's one of those ones where it's 55, 45 bulls to bears, where it's, although it's just tilting slightly, there's only just slightly more bears than bulls. So it's almost sideways, but just the weighting is a little bit more bearish than bullish. Just not worth it. Kiwi Yen. No. So basically the Aussie and Kiwi pairs are useless right now. Okay. CAD Yen. There we go. Okay, so CAD Yen looking nice and bullish. Overextended on that 4 hour time frame. Not ridiculously so, but it's definitely entering into that area. It's now breaking through an above 80, which is a round number. It's also a monthly support resistance level. So this can sit on my list. It might not provide a trade today. Might provide one tomorrow, but any pullbacks into the moving averages, probably on the 2 hour, but better would be the 4 hour, would be long opportunities. Swiss Yen. Nope. I'm just going to leave that. Let's look at gold. So, okay, gold is a no-no for me. It's slightly more bullish than bearish, but it's a mess on the daily, and it could actually, this could be what we get for weeks. Silver, same thing again, no. Copper, no. Look at copper's daily. This is crazy. It goes up 4 days. Massive drops, you get a downtrend. Big recovery. Sort of a bullish candle, then a drop, and then a bullish climb. Like, that is just like spastic behavior, like as in like weird knee-jerk, big knee-jerk reactions. Doesn't look cool. No, so we're on to platinum, not seeing anything. So this is a no. Let's look at oils. So crude oils are looking bullish today. I still think there's a possibility they can correct, but based off the lower time frames, I'd be going long on this. Okay, so I'd be bullish on this, basically. So that's why I wanted to do it this way today. I wanted to just look at the bottom 4 timelines, or the fifth if you include the 4 hours. If you go 4 hours, 2 hours, all the way down to 15 minutes. If they're trending upwards, then it's a consideration to perhaps go long. But in these circumstances, I can't stress enough how I would reduce my risk, maybe 0.5% per trade, and I would take profit at 1-to-1. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. The market conditions overall are prone to changing direction. They might only just go 1-on-1 and then you get a break-even trade, but that's better than having a losing trade. Understand that the weather conditions right now are super choppy. Okay, so the Dow looking bullish. Potentially a setup on that 1 hour. That's a bullish candle. Entry above the high that closes in 40 minutes. Stop loss below the low. That's a potential long opportunity there. The 2 hour is also producing a bullish candle there off a previous level of support and resistance or a previous high. So that's fine. So that's a possibility. That's the Dow long. S&P, NASDAQ. Here I'm looking on the NASDAQ. I'd rather have a retracement down into 11.5. It just looks a bit odd. But the 1 hour might actually produce something, but I prefer that as a level. That, so that would be where I would have a look for a pullback. Could happen. So that's the NASDAQ. Russell's also potentially setting up to go long. They're overextended on the daily. They are, but like the NASDAQ isn't. Russell is. What's the Ftse? Ftse is looking. Okay, I'll just skip that. I don't have intraday data on that one. DAX is looking more bullish than bearish. It gapped up. It hasn't. It's come down and just kind of closed to the previous high, but hasn't closed the gap. It's one of those things where you're trying to debate how badly do you want to take a trade. And you're kind of like, well, if I don't need to take a trade, I probably shouldn't. But yeah. Nikkei still looks bullish, still continues to move to the upside there, but gaps up quite a bit on that one. ASICs still bullish. So the ASICs one still holds. This is the Australian one. I still like the look of that. Okay, let's have a look at cryptos quickly. Cryptos are bad for now, for trading. The last going back to the 25th of September, sideways. Range bound just looks so bad. I'm actually going to mark that range. Potentially I could argue it's a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but I'm going to mark it. Just clean this up a little bit. There. Ugh. Okay. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Ethereum, more bearish than bullish. It's got a level of support down here. Looks more bearish than bullish. Doesn't look great. They look terrible. And the Eurobond. Okay. So that's it. I'm not going to keep you guys and girls very long, but that is it. There's not a lot going on. As I said, I like some of the CAD charts, possibly a bit bullish on the oil, possibly a bit bullish on some of the indices, and that's it. And I'm definitely reducing my risk, and I'm definitely cautious. Okay, so the thing is that even if I only take 1 or 2 trades this week, or not at all, when this starts moving, there'll be 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 different trades. So don't view periods where the market's not doing anything as a waste of your time. Just view them as in, this is what happens when there aren't trading opportunities. The key thing to take away from this is understanding that it's higher risk, that we should be grateful for any profits we make. The markets don't really know what they're doing. And this is probably most sensibly just treading water until further notice. And honestly, the worst case scenario is it could be like this for a couple of weeks. So better to just start is taking that as the way the weather conditions are right now. And then if it starts trending nicely, you do that. But when you take it, you just take profits. Just do that more aggressively. That's it. So I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to upload it. And hopefully you found that useful and instructive. And I will see you. I'll try and do a live stream tomorrow to see if anything changes. Okay. So take care, ladies and gents.